There we go. I think that should work. If this doesn't work, I apologize. I am a little crazy today. So I'm going to wait just a few minutes to let some folks join. Today, actually this morning, I was at the dentist office for a cleaning. And obviously, you've seen my mouth and my teeth, and it's been a long road. Whoever is watching, can you hear me? Please tell me. Between car accident and medications and different health issues, I've had a lot of damage to my teeth. So I don't know how many thousands of dollars I've put into my mouth, like bone grafts, everything like that. Root canal, it's insane. And like because of the dry mouth with medication, it's, how do I say it? It's extreme dry mouth. Like my dentist actually said today, just regular cleaning, she said she has never seen anyone with such severe dry mouth, which I believe because my mouth is constantly getting dry. Fritz, please stop. We're not having it today. Sorry, Fritz is always a jerk. Anyways, so we get through the cleaning, and I literally have one cavity left to fill, and it's actually where part of a filling broke out. And then on the lower tooth, I have to get a crown, and then the one next to it, she'll be able to bring the filling stuff, the composite, up so it's level. She had to do it at an angle so it wouldn't like knock out and break off. Do it at an angle wouldn't knock out and... All right, sorry, I just double checked. My sound is on. So anyways, then I have a referral to go see like an oral surgeon to see if I'm a candidate for any type of like implant replacements. I don't think it would work on the top just because of the way my palate is. It's pretty flat. And I don't know if we did I don't think we did many bone grafts on the top of my mouth. But we did, like almost my entire bottom jaw has bone grafts. So looks like it might be good enough. The only issue is the money. She's like, it starts at like $5,000 or I don't know. So I've got the referral. If anything, I want to get at least that front one, an implant. That way, like if I have to do a partial, it'll be more stable, I guess is the word. Anyways, so that's what's going on with me today. I go next week to get the filling done, and then I go actually on Valentine's Day to get the crown done. So this has been a long road. It's been years now. Like, it's crazy. So anyways, when I woke up this morning, I obviously instantly got on YouTube, and Judge Middleton was continuing his emergency PPO from Thursday or Friday, the one with the apartment complex, and they had the busted pipes. So that is what we're gonna watch today together. This isn't recorded. This is straight up off YouTube, but we're gonna get into that. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna do my makeup and stuff because I want to. And yeah, so if you guys want to watch, you can watch. I will be muting myself because of Fritz. Okay. I don't know why it was working before. No. I had a shortcut set up to pause.
Now, I've got people here and I don't know what they're relevant to. I'm going to call the case, then we'll identify the people that are here by Zoom. This matter is entitled The Village of Centerville versus Centerville Investments. It is a 45th Circuit Court case. I'm sitting by special assignment as a 45th Circuit judge. I'm district judge in the 3B District Court, but all judges are cross sworn here in St. Joseph County. I did this as an emergency matter because I was, in essence, the only judge here over the holidays. The same parties that were here last Thursday are present here today. Roxanne Sieber is here on behalf of the Village of Centerville with Douglas Kuhlman, their zoning enforcement officer. Mr. William Van Eck is here for the defendants, and the defendant, Mr. Houston Moyer, is also here. His office manager and apartment manager is also here. We have a number of other people who are here, and we'll be addressing this in a minute. I've got people on the screen, and I'm not sure how or if they're relevant to this. Mr. Van Eck, can you help me?
Thank you, Your Honor. Tony DeCero is with Crystal Carpet Care Restoration, which is a water extraction and restoration company. He's here to explain what they've done and what they're going to do. Travis Cox is with Zimmerman Plumbing and Heating. He is here to explain what work they did in order to repair the plumbing, which is now repaired. And we also have the electrician who I grabbed at the apartment complex who was doing work there and asked him to come here, and he is here. His name is Wade, and he's from W.E. Harrison Electric. And they're here to address court's concerns regarding the status of the property currently.
I've got Allie Smith, who's muted with the sound off. How are you connected to this?
We're okay. We're apartment 7.
All right. And I've got Moto G Stylus. Who am I speaking with? This is a daily occurrence to figure out.
This is
Who am I
Nick.
speaking with?
Sorry about that. I'm trying
This
to
is Nick from 33
figure out the shortcuts aren't working.
From 33.
I'm learning, guys. I'm learning.
or 22. I'm sorry. That's my hotel right now.
What's your apartment number?
We're in 22.
All right. Nick, what's your last name?
Karimi, Carimi.
All right, we also have a number of interested parties who are here in the courtroom, some of whom were here last week and some who were not. Anyway, you're all welcome to be here. What happened last week happened very quickly. I heard some rumblings on Wednesday afternoon that there was an issue with this building, and I immediately forwarded my notice to Kelly Hosteller from the United Way and Aaron Goff from the Sheriff's Department Emergency Services Coordinator, and notified them of the situation, and they both went into action. Then I signed the order at about 5:15 on Wednesday afternoon, scheduling the matter for a hearing for the following day at 1 o'clock, which was the last business day of the year, which was December 29th, Thursday. And when things happen quickly, you don't always have all the information that you need. So you're trying to make the best decision you can based on the facts that you have. We took some testimony from several witnesses. We received an exhibit from the plaintiff And I continued the temporary restraining order until this morning, which was the next available court date. There was a court holiday. We were closed the 30th and the 2nd. And yesterday was a full docket. So by court standards, this is about as fast as it gets. So Ms. Seaver, at my direction, prepared an order extending the temporary restraining order until this morning, January 4th, 2023. And that order prohibits everybody from residing in their own apartments. I did receive a letter dated January 1st, 2023 from Place Property Management, Grand Rapids. And it's pretty comprehensive. It's signed by Houston Moyer, the owner. A CC that to everyone else. Ms. Seaver, did you receive a copy of that?
I did, Your Honor.
Do you have any objection to the court considering that?
I don't have any objection. There may be some ability or reason for us to voir dire at some point.
Well, Mr. Moyer, would you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give here will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
And did you prepare this 12-page letter and forwarded it to the court?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, I'm trying to figure this whole thing out. I got to work on this setup. The attorney just said they're going to wait for voir dire. So I don't know if you don't know what that means. Essentially, that is when you have like an expert come testify. It's vetting them essentially to their knowledge. It's also more commonly used when you're selecting a jury for a trial. And that's where, like, if it's where they ask, have you heard of this case? Can you be fair and impartial? Are you blah, 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 blah. That way they're able to answer questions and kind of weed out jurors that would not work, maybe because of their bias or whatever. So that's what voir dire is. And it's actually pretty cool. I've watched a couple of voir dires from trials, and it's actually kind of cool. Some people might find it boring, but I thought it was pretty neat. So yeah, that's what that is. Let's get back to the video.
That you're supposed to do it through your counsel and send a letter directly to the court. I'm not really even supposed to read it, but I want to make sure that it's acceptable. And is this true and accurate to the best of your understanding, the information you put into this letter?
Yes.
Mr. Van Eck, would you like the court to consider this as Defendant's Exhibit A?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, and it may be subject to some voir dire. Let's mark this as Defendant A, that it's formally in the record. And Mr. Moyer put a lot of effort into preparing it. All right, so here we are. I've continued this order from Thursday to this morning. I don't know what's happened since then. I was advised by Ms. Goff late in the day on Thursday that everyone had been placed. We're all safe and warm and dry pending this hearing. And so here we are now. So Ms. Seaver, what's the village's position at this time?
Your Honor, there's a couple of.
Okay, I'll get this worked out. So if you didn't watch last week's video, this is an apartment complex in Centerville. It was bought out by another owner. They had pipes burst in, I think it was in the ceiling. And so the place flooded, and I think it was like Christmas Eve or something. So essentially everyone had to be moved out. And this is the restraining orders to keep people from like residing there, just for safety reasons. So that's what this is about, talking about kind of where everything is as far as permits and work. That way they can get it cleared, to have people come home. So that is what's going on with that. think we're all caught up now.
Things that we need to bring forth to the court at this time. Number one, I believe Mr. Van Eck was convinced that our last hearing was with respect to something that he termed as a nuisance ordinance. This truly has nothing to do with a nuisance ordinance. This is a building code and a zoning
Nuisance
issue.
ordinance.
I do intend to
My
complaint. We can have
nothing to
Mr.
do with
Lawyer's,
nuisance.
office.
By the way, I really don't like this landlord or his
This
attorney.
isn't a nuisance situation where you just get 30 days to cure and then everything goes away.
Well, this came in as an emergency restraining order. Let me look at the original. I don't know if we have a citation, do we?
I believe I indicated
Oh, yeah,
that
there
the
it
village does the building, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing.
Well, there was an administrative search warrant, and then the citation was issued on December 28th, alleging International Property Maintenance Code. So that's the violation. So we aren't exactly there. What we're dealing with this morning is the continuation of the temporary restraining order, placing everybody out of the home. And so we're kind of talking apples and oranges, because there's a section under the restraining order law which allows you to issue injunctions to abate public nuisances. And that was sort of what I was hanging my hat on. Section 3600 of the Michigan Court Rules, E. So it was under the public nuisance court rule that I issued the temporary restraining order. But the violation that the citation was issued is not for nuisance, it's for violation of the International Property Maintenance Code. So let's deal with the restraining order first. As I said Thursday, the judge issues something here.
Okay, so he just said something about an international, I forgot what it is, international something code. I have never heard of that before this. I didn't know there's any sort of international code. I don't know. I've never heard it. I'm not surprised, but it's just kind of a weird, I just never heard of it before. So what that makes me question is like sort of jurisdiction, or what rules do you follow? Like local, state, federal, international. I don't know. And I don't think they actually go into this, but I don't know. It's just weird.
Do this, and then somebody has to do it, and somebody has to pay for it, and understanding it was a terrible inconvenience for all the people involved, but there was also a public safety issue with the state of the water and particularly the heat. So with that all in mind, go ahead.
Sure. As to a zoning matter, zoning, you have to meet minimum dwelling requirements. That is the ability to do food preparation, bathing, and the sleeping area. So to some extent, if we can get there, the zoning ordinance would be satisfied. As you're aware, the building department did post this as uninhabitable. The building department doesn't really have any authority to remove that sticker until they deem that the property is habitable. Now, if the court allows people in, that's certainly up to you. But as far as the building code, we need to satisfy all of the provisions. With respect to the main issue here, I did ask Mr. Ron Dallaire to come in. He is the electrical inspector for the village and for many other places. I believe he will be able to testify to you that he hasn't been in the building since 2020, that there is an open permit, and that it depends on the type of electric that's been put in the building as to whether it would be safe to let people in pending they're pulling and replacing the wet electric. And he is the expert. He's the one who needs to tell us, hasn't been into the building. So we also have recent water situation where there's 5,800 or so gallons coming out. I do have an exhibit to that effect, and Ms. Thibodeau is here. She can also explain the negative that was showing up on the prior. We do have also the mechanical and plumbing inspector here. They haven't been into the building since whatever repairs have been started have been made. So we haven't done any inspections and can't really tell you the current status, although there's certainly one to go out and have a look. The building official in the long term is also concerned with other things such as mold, and those issues will need to be addressed at some later time. I understand the concern of the court right now is to try to get these into a position where people can at least move back in, and then let the management deal with whatever they need to deal with. I don't know to what extent continuing services are available if people need to be remaining outside of their current rental units, if they have to remain in hotels and things like that. I understand that there is a possibility through the Area Commission on Aging for Meals on Wheels to be provided, but I do not presently know whether there is an extension for temporary housing available. We do have the Area Commission on Aging in the United Way here to testify if that's necessary.
Well, what are you going to ask me to do?
I guess we're going to have to go figure out whether each of these individual apartments is habitable. And I don't think we can necessarily do that without the inspectors at least going in to have a look. I understand Mr. Moyer would like to tell you what's all been going on. But
Okay, so the Office of Aging Meals on Wheels, if you remember from last week, the landowner or the landlord's attorney was really trying to argue with the folks from that agency and from the state, and which made me think that he's just being an asshole. But yeah, that's why there's like, I don't know, that this whole case has been kind of odd, but they said about 80% of this apartment building or complex is senior citizens. Before this new landlord bought the complex, they were strictly senior citizens, so 55 and up. And they're also like Section 8. Then the new owner, they removed the senior citizen part, so anybody can live there. But they also didn't apply to get the vouchers or to participate with Section 8, which is another thing that the landlord's attorney was being belligerent about. So that's why it's important that those folks are coming in and testifying.
But frankly, the village does not know at this point, so we can't know until we get up over there and check it out.
All right, well, there's the zoning enforcement and there's the restraining order. And a temporary restraining order is an extraordinary remedy. It's an equitable remedy, as I described last week, and it is for extreme circumstances. So Mr. Moyer's directive when we left last Thursday was to try to get the property into habitable condition. You've mentioned habitability and quoted something. I don't know what section you're quoting. There's no citation on the ticket, just International Property Maintenance Code, which is thousands of pages long. So I'm not sure exactly what it is he's alleged to have violated.
Yeah. Your Honor, just in terms of ultimately what may be included in a complaint, we were just looking at the zoning ordinance, the township zoning ordinance with the minimum requirements for a dwelling. And that would be the ability to food prep, bathing facilities and sleeping facilities. So that's kind of where we started with our bottom line. In terms of
very
safety,
basic
we don't know where we
things.
are yet.
All right, is this in the township or the village?
It's in the village.
Okay, you said the township.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, village ordinance. And I don't know what that citation is either. Fruit, prep, bathing, and sleep. All right, Mr. Van Eck, I do appreciate the fact you came into this case on short notice. You cleared your calendar to be here this morning on short notice. What's your position here?
Thank you, Your Honor. Since our last hearing, of course, the court is aware this is not a situation where my client was in any way ignoring their duties as a manager, as an apartment owner.
Bullshit. Yes,
and
they
making sure
were.
the place
Yes,
is
the fuck they
maintained,
were.
in far in excess of a habitable condition. What happened in this situation is there was a frozen pipe, unusual weather events, which resulted in pipes
All I'm
breaking,
hearing is
freezing,
excuses
and as a
and
result leaking,
excuses
then
and
causing problems
bullshit.
in the boiler. Last time we were here, my client indicated that that day or the next day they anticipated the plumbing leaks to be repaired and for the heat to be turned back on. I can tell the court I was there this morning, not that I'm a witness, but certainly the heat is back on, the plumbing are all repaired. The building has been dried out. There are restoration people or a person here that we brought that's done some work there. We have the electrician here to discuss. And I think what's going to happen with the restorations are indicate it's dried out. There is some work to do with drywall and everything else, but it's dried out. The electrician is going to indicate that he has done not a full, complete overview of the building, but he has reviewed the fuse boxes and they are all functioning and dried out. So in the event there was some type of an issue, the breaker box would function, would trip, but there's no tripped breakers. He indicated that he will be there for a.
I don't know about you, but if there was anything, there wouldn't be a trip wreck. Why would you even like risk that? If there's water, there's electricity. Water is very conductive. If it gets, I mean, there's so many things wrong with what he just said. That so many things wrong, and it's literally all just excuses.
Next period of time, the flooring has been removed. That is bad. The units are functioning. My client and the building manager have gone through and done a apartment by apartment inventory. As a result, when it comes to food prep, all appliances were functioning except for two hoods. Those two hoods are in the process of being replaced and repaired. So all appliances are working. Cooking and refrigeration is fine. Bathing, of course, the water pipes and water systems are back up and fully functional in all units. And sleeping is the third criteria that I've heard, and there's nothing there. The building is dry. In fact, when I walked into it, you don't smell moisture, which many times in a situation like that you would. And everything is ready to go. There's some flooring. Flooring is going to be replaced. My clients walked through with insurance. Insurance indicates that they will replace flooring where there was flooding. There is flooring that's been removed. It was carpet that is going to be replaced. And all but 3 or 4 units are in the status they were before the flood occurred. This wasn't a widespread, every unit was damaged situation. It was limited to a few units. And of the few units, some of them have missing drywall, and the drywall people are on site now and will continue on site until the drywall is repaired.
Okay, so him saying that the apartments are back up to pre-accident, I have an issue with that because there has not been a permit or whatever license certificate of occupancy since 2020. So literally we're going on 3 years. So how do we know that the apartments are the same, or they're just saying it like because we did the basic. I don't like this. I really don't. I do not like this attorney. They both, him and the landlord, really give me this sleazy like slime ball slumlord feeling. Just the ways they're trying to kind of like maneuver around everything and trying to put it all off. I don't like them.
Insulation has been replaced. Effort has been taken to avoid bursted pipes in the future by adding extra insulation, both to the pipe itself and around the pipe.
Or how
and we indicate
about
that is,
updating your system?
Your Honor, I'm going to have to, my client testify that, but my understanding is it's 3 times what is required by any coding, just to make extra sure. I also understand that insurance is moving very quickly. Not that that's necessarily an issue because my client does have the capacity, financial capacity to move this forward, get it done as it has already.
Sure he does.
And we're prepared to address this with the various witnesses that are nice enough to appear. They're all very busy. This is a busy season for them because of that storm. But they're
Well, let's start with the electrician. That would be Mr. Cox.
No, it's the electrician we have back here is Wade. Wade, if you stand up, come out here, the judge is going to swear you in. And you can tell them what you've seen.
Please come up into the witness box if you would. Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief. Would you have a seat and state your first name and last name and spell them for us?
Wade, W-A-D-E, Harrison, H-A-R-R-I-S-O-N.
Mr. Harrison, what's your occupation?
Master electrician?
Certified in the state of Michigan?
Yes.
Do you have a business?
Yes, it is W.E. Harrison Electric.
Mr. Van Eck?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Harrison, you indicated that you are a master electrician. Would you please tell us what that means?
It means that I've had thousands and thousands of hours of on-the-job training. I've taken journeyman state test, master state test. I also have a contractor's license.
Residential builder's license?
No, just electrical contractor.
Okay, so you're licensed by the state of Michigan?
Yes.
And how long have you been an electrician and then a master electrician?
Master electrician since 2007. I've had my contractor's license since 2012, and I have been doing electrical work since 97.
During your time as a master electrician or as an electrician, have you an opportunity, of course, to work on electrical items? Okay, have you done new builds where you install new electricity?
Yes.
No,
And have
he
you done
hasn't.
a restoration where you replace
You know,
electricity?
he's an electrician, so he
And
doesn't
have
work
you been
with
in situations such as this
electricity.
where there's been damage and you have to go in and assess it, correct it, and make it safe?
Yes.
Okay, let's go specifically to the property we're talking about now. Were you hired by Place Management to review that property and the electrical systems in that building?
Yes.
Do you know when you were hired? When you were retained or engaged?
I got the call yesterday to come down to that management, but it's been about a year that I've done work for them at that location.
Okay, so
Okay. He didn't get a call, the electrician didn't get a call about this until yesterday. We're literally over a week out. Why did they not have him come in like right away? Like seriously, that's such BS, dude. You need the electrician to come in, make sure everything's like shut off, assess the damage, you know, that needs to be this before yesterday. Yeah.
so you've done work on that building at that location previously?
Yes.
And what type of work did you do on that building previously?
We added a circuit for wall air conditioner. We replaced some outlets.
When you received the call, have you an opportunity to go to the
I
building?
can replace
I did
outlets.
this morning.
You don't need to be a master electrician
Okay.
for
Did you
that.
have an opportunity to do a walkthrough of the building with Ginger or with Houston?
We walked through, I was able to look at every unit, but we did walk the hallway. We've had an opportunity to look at about 5 or 6 of the sub panels that are in each unit.
So you came in yesterday, you only looked at a couple of apartments when there's more than a couple apartments that have damage. and this is sufficient? Like, no. This is seriously pissing me off all over again. This is just, yeah. You need to inspect every apartment, because I'm pretty sure every apartment had some amount of damage. So, yeah. Oh, plus the pipe burst in the ceiling. So, yeah, definitely you kind of need to go into every apartment and, make sure, oh, I don't know, the outlets still work, the switches work. This to me is just laziness, and sort of incompetent, being incompetent, and in my opinion, slumlord.
And those seem to be all dry. And of the units that I've seen, I haven't seen any water damage to any electrical equipment in those units.
Okay. Have you seen any exposed electrical wires that aren't insulated or would be a danger from what you see?
No.
When you look at the electrical panel, why is that important that that's dry?
Because if moisture gets in there, now you're gonna possibly have corrosion, which can cause problems to the electrical system. And then also if you get moisture in there, it can be tripping breakers, which could possibly turn off.
And electricity is conducted through water.
Anything that they would need to stay comfortable.
So were you able to look at the electrical panel for the building or servicing the building?
Not in every unit.
Okay, so every unit has separately metered panels?
Yes, they have each panel.
Okay, and of the panels you reviewed, were you able to determine whether they were dry or had moisture in them?
Yeah, that was I think there was 5 or 6 we looked at, and they're completely dry, not a drop of moisture in those panels.
Okay, let's talk about the building in general. As you walk into the building, there's a common area, and then on each side are apartments. Is that right?
Yes.
Walk in the front door, what do you see first?
That the carpet's all ripped off, and then the common area seems to be where most of the damage has been. So you get to the outline apartment.
Yeah, maybe that's because you didn't inspect enough units.
But most of the I don't even see any water damage at all.
Okay.
So,
And when you
That's
walk
only
into the
went to
main
5 or
area, you
6
said the carpet's
apartments.
tore up. Is it cement floor, wood floor? What type of?
cement floor.
Okay. And is that floor clean of debris?
Yes.
Okay, safe to walk on?
Yes.
I know some of the modern designs have concrete floors by design. And would you say that this is free of trip hazards and all the other concerns?
Yes.
Okay. In the apartments you checked, let's start with, I think you indicated 5 or 6 of them you looked at. Were those indicated by Houston or Dinger as being the apartments with damage?
They were new. They were either on the same side of the hallway or across the hallway from where the main line broke, which was in the common area.
Okay.
And so, I mean, from where a lot of the damage was, some of these, it might be 15, 20 feet away, and I don't see any water damage.
Okay. And when you looked at those units, you opened the electrical for each and they were dry?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about how electric works. What is the purpose of the fuse panel or the electrical panel?
If there was either an overload or any kind of a hazard, whether it be an arc or water damage, that breaker would trip in the panel before it became a hazard to the individual living in there.
Okay, so I'm not an electrician, so I'm gonna try and put it in non-electrician language. Electrical systems are designed, correct me if I'm wrong, please. You're the expert, not I. Electrical systems are designed that it runs from the panel to the electrical consumption spot. Is that right?
Yes.
And the purpose of the panel is if there's something in there that's wrong with the electric, a surge or something goes wrong, by design, the panel trips.
Yes.
The breaker.
Yes.
So is it a fair indication that there aren't
it goes
concerns
wrong
with
by
electric,
design?
the panels are
Yeah,
dry
that's a
and full
misstatement.
function?
That's correct.
If there were to be a problem in the electrical system, from what you've seen and looked at, would those breakers trip?
Yes. As far as any water, whether it be anywhere in the apartment, but especially like in the kitchen and the bathroom. The apartments that I've looked at have, on top of just the regular electrical system with breakers that should trip, they also have GFCI protection.
And what does that mean?
It means that it's going to protect if there's water in the area and somebody were to plug in, and they, you know, maybe their hands are wet on the
It
counter,
means
plug
it's
in,
grounded. You
GFCI
actually have to have that in
before
kitchens and
they
bathrooms.
were to get
That is
harmed
actually
by
code.
the electrical short.
Okay, so
that's at a
what
minimum.
you've seen so far in your inspections and the work you're going to do, what, are you gonna have to replace any of those panels?
Not of the ones we looked at, no, and I expect, because all of the other apartments are further away from the main damaged area, that I don't expect that any of the panels have to be replaced.
Are you gonna have to replace any wiring?
Not that we've seen, no.
Is all the wiring insulated? A lot of times you'll see wire where it's bare and then maybe there's a white wrapping around it or a rubber wrapping.
Right. All the,
Yeah, you're not going to
all
have
I've
bare
seen is,
wires. If you do, then yeah, definitely violating codes.
So it has, I mean, each conductor insulated and then it's wrapped and then it has an outer jacket. Never seen any damage to any of the jacket or insulation.
So from what you can see, and I recognize you haven't done the full inspections on every unit and all that, but does it appear that the electric system is working fine without concerns for safety?
Yes, the only section that would maybe be the common area where it got a lot of damage. Those circuits I think we have off right now, but that just covers, there's a little hall bathroom and then there's a little, I think, a little kitchenette area. Again, those are just common areas that's affected by any of the actual units.
Okay. From what you've seen walking the common area, could we break off with yellow tape or something else, a do not enter into the kitchen or the bathroom, any other common areas until such time as you were able to deem them appropriate, safe, or repaired?
I would be comfortable with that, yes.
Okay. Now, the three criteria that we've heard are food prep. Is there anything about the electrical system that you've seen that would prohibit the use of an electrical stove or appliances?
In the units, no.
Did you see food prep areas in that you inspected in the units that are separate from the common area kitchenette you talked about?
Yes, yeah, each unit that I've been in has their own kitchen with cooking appliances and they're all in working order.
Okay, in the units that you looked at, the 5 or 6, did you do anything with the water? Turn on the water, check the water? And did you do anything regarding seeing the sleeping arrangements?
No, I can't. I mean, I couldn't find that.
And did you smell or feel, or did you think there was moisture still in those apartments that you reviewed?
No, actually, I think somebody mentioned before, a lot of times you walk into an area where it's water damage and you kind of smell that kind of mildew smell. And even walking in the building, any apartments, I don't even smell that mildew smell. So
When you were there this morning, was the heat on?
yes,
Was the building warm?
yes,
The units that you went into, were those units warm?
yes.
So this apartment is heated by a boiler, so steam heat. So if the water is going, if it's running, then yeah, you're gonna have heat. So to me, that's kind of like, yeah, so electricity is working at least to the boiler, the water is running, but that doesn't indicate if the building is habitable. So like I said, this landlord frustrates me to all get out, and it's just it's like he's trying to distract from sort of like one of the biggest issues, which is the fact that they haven't had a certificate of occupancy in 3 years. It's more than just this water break. It's beyond that. It really is.
I don't have any first questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Seaver, any questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Harrison, did you observe the water, the electrical globe with water in it?
Yes, in one of the units we looked at, there is 2 electrical fixtures that did get some water inside the fixture.
Okay, and what are you required to do to repair that?
We are going to remove the fixture and verify that the wiring.
What units were those in?
I can't testify to what number it was. I can remember what wing it was, but I can't testify to which unit that was.
How many units had that
I believe 2,
that you saw?
yes.
So then how would the water get into the unit, into the globe?
It would have followed it would have been above the drywall, and it would have followed into the electrical box and then got into the fixture.
And did you then observe wet drywall in the building?
Yes.
Okay, and in ceilings and in walls?
I can testify to the ceiling, but I can't say the walls.
Okay, how many?
So yeah, so this guy is saying that there's still wet drywall, right? But didn't the attorney say that everything was dried out? Everything, huh? One of your own contractors just contradicted the lie that you said. So no, not everything's dried out, which means no, not everything is ready for people to move back into. This, yeah, just, yeah.
Units appear to have wet ceilings.
Of the say half dozen that I was able to look at this morning, really just the 2 that had water and the light fixtures.
We had a person testify at the last hearing that there was water coming out of their rangewood. Do you know where that apartment is?
I haven't been in any of these apartments. I was told by management that there were like 2 apartments.
Dude, you haven't even been in the apartments. You just lied about that then. Because you literally just testified
Okay, and what?
that you've been in 5 or 6 apartments. And now you just said you've not been in any of them? Oh, I truly hope Judge Middleton is paying super close attention, because this is just, yeah. I haven't been in any of the apartments, but I inspected 5 or 6. Which one is it? Is it dry or is it not dry? Is there still moisture or is there not moisture? These are like simple questions. This shouldn't be that hard.
Who told you what apartments to inspect?
Ginger management has had us walking through every unit, no matter how far away from the major damage it was. We're inspecting every unit.
But you just said you haven't been inside any of the units.
Okay, but you don't know, are these electric rangewoods?
They are.
Okay, so you don't know where that occurred?
No.
She didn't point those out to you?
No, I haven't seen those units yet.
So you haven't inspected every unit?
I have not.
Okay. You've indicated that the interior is the electrical inside conduit, or is it Romex?
It is Romex.
Okay, and if so, doesn't the International Property Maintenance Code require you to replace that if the drywall's wet?
That I can't testify to be true enough.
Okay, would you have pulled an electrical permit to get your circuit repair
Knowledge, being an electrician, you should know that, or at least look that up.
Before where I did work?
Yes.
I did not get a permit, no.
Why not?
Whoa, fucking whoa. You're an electrical contractor. You have your general contractor's license. You are a licensed master electrician. Now, I know a lot of this stuff because my father is a retired master electrician who also went to college for electrical engineering, right? You know, absolutely, anytime you have to make repairs like this, especially with damage, you're rewiring, you're doing anything like that, If you're pulling wire through, you have to have a permit. There is absolutely no question about that with state licensing, let alone the freaking this international building maintenance thing. So, see, I am seriously so frustrated with that because as a contractor, you know you need the permits. You absolutely know that you need to pull permits. You can get an emergency permit. You can get it issued fairly quickly. What should have happened is they should have called you at the beginning. Then you could have immediately pulled the permit for as soon as you could get in. Like, they're literally, this is how it should work. There should be that flow. So the fact that, I mean, this is just negligence and mismanagement all the way through. Like, I honestly, I can't believe that this is how they're operating. Like, oh my God, seriously. Oh, this is like making my heart rate's going to be jumping up. My watch is going to start going off.
I guess I can't testify that.
You would,
Whether I did or not.
you should have gotten one, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then at this time, can you tell us there's no potential for an electrical fire in the building?
Dude, you didn't know that you had to pull a permit. That's also bullshit. You should have your fucking, electrician license pulled, and you need to be put on hold. You get it revoked, whatever. Obviously, this dude is not paying attention. He is not doing things by the book, following code. None of it. This is a recipe for something that could be way, way worse.
The areas that I've looked at, I can testify that there is no fire hazard.
But you haven't seen the whole building.
I have not.
Okay. And you don't know whether you're.
Sorry, I can't see without my glasses on, but I do like this attorney. She is like, she has got it.
Yeah.
She's on the ball.
Would you then rely on what the electrical inspector tells you needs to be done?
Yes, actually, the areas that have substantial ceiling damage, those ceilings have been pulled down, so I can inspect the house in those locations.
Shouldn't the electrical inspector also be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, and if there's a determination that the entire electrical needs to be replaced at some point, will you do that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Berger.
Yes, please. There was a question regarding wet drywall. Did you see any drywall that was still wet, or just that it had previously been wet?
Just previously, you could, just discoloration is what I observed.
Okay, so your testimony is not that there's any still wet drywall you've seen, it's just you could tell it had been wet previously.
Correct.
And were there people doing?
So it was wet previously. Was it this last pipe burst, or is it the three before that the landlord failed to inform the township or city or whatever? They literally had 3 other leaks, 3 other pipes burst before this in the last 3 years, and they never bothered to let anybody know. So yeah, when is that water damage from? Nobody knows.
From what you could see, drywall work there when you were there?
Yes.
Place management was attempting to dissuade you or keep you from looking at units.
Sorry about that. I hit the button and muted it too
When
soon.
you talk about the biggest part of damage, did the damage seem to be localized? I think you testified in the common area.
Yes.
And then where did it go from there?
It seemed to be the main hallway, kind of go through the common area along the offices. It seems to be along there. The units nearby there, I guess they're gonna have to replace the floors, but as far as electrical system, I haven't seen any damages.
Okay. Now, there's always the idea that something's possible. All right, it's possible they could have.
Okay. So you haven't, there's no water damage really inside these apartments, but there are people that had like water coming out of their walls. Like this is, there is so much bullshit going on with these people. Like, I don't know. I'm really getting pissed off. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Have a fire in this building tonight. The question is it likely or probable, or more appropriately, are the people, if they move in danger of fire and damage and injury from fire, from what you can see with the electrical system?
Not that from what I've seen, no.
Is there any practical reason to replace what you've inspected so far, the electrical system?
Can you repeat that?
Thank you. I don't know what happened in the wording. Is there any practical reason why people can't live in that building under the current electrical system from what you've seen?
Not from what I've seen, no. But again, I haven't been every unit.
No, yeah, I understand. I have no further questions.
Water in the globes brings to mind the Three Stooges episode where the plumbers are hooking up a bunch of Rube Goldberg pipes and the water gets in the globe. Obviously, if you got water in your globe light fixture. Okay, sorry, I didn't realize I still had myself muted, but yeah, no, there's a problem. Yeah, you can't say that these apartments are safe for occupancy when you haven't been in all the apartments. You don't know what the extent of the damage is. There's still damp drywall. Like, you legitimately will have to replace wiring. Most likely. Like, you need to get in there with your freaking voltage meter tester, you know, getting in and being able to look at the wiring. You have a little camera scope thing. Like, if you ever had a colonoscopy, that's like a little sight camera on a whatever. Yeah, you use that to get into the wall and inspect the wiring without having to remove wall. So that there's no reason as to why he's just not doing what he's supposed to do. I have a feeling he's probably like the lowest. Like, they asked for a bid and he was the cheapest one, in my opinion. That I think that he's, yeah, I think the licensing board needs to take a look at him. Fixture, you can't turn the switch on; it would blow a breaker, would it not?
Yes.
And so, two of the units you saw, I actually had water in a ceiling globe.
I didn't physically see the water in there. I just saw the discoloration of the globe from.
Bullshit.
But you didn't flip those switches.
I did not.
So then how would you know?
Thank you. You may step down. Who do you wish to call next, Mr. Van Eyck?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll call Travis Cox.
Mr. Cox, would you unmute your microphone, please? Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
All right, and would you state your name?
Travis Cox.
You've got it spelled there, Traviscox.
Yes, sir.
What's your occupation, sir?
I am the service manager for Zimmerman Plumbing and Heating.
Thank you. Mr. Van Eyck?
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Could you explain your job as, well, what do you do for an occupation?
I am the service manager for Zimmerman Plumbing and Heating and Roto-Rooter Plumbing. So I oversee our service division.
And it indicates that you work on, do you work on water lines and on restoration repairs?
We work on water lines and heating lines.
And were you called to a building at 681 East Main known as Mill Race?
Yes,
And why were you called to that building?
for an emergency leak.
Did you go to that building?
An emergency.
I did not. I had my
That's-
service
That's a
technicians.
massive understatement.
Do you know when they went to the building?
Yes, the initial call was on December 26, 2022.
And did they report back to you what they saw?
Yes,
What did they report?
they reported several leaks in the attic space for the domestic water lines. Had split because of the freezing conditions, and there was several leaks in the attic space.
And what part of the building was that, if you know?
That the initial inspection was, I believe, on the east attic area.
And since that time of your inspection determination, have you been hired to repair those areas?
Yes,
Or is your company?
our company has, and I've had several technicians there making repairs.
Okay. And to your knowledge, has that work been completed?
Yes,
Has it been tested?
the heating lines have been tested. Yes,
And are there any leaks in the heating lines?
not to our knowledge, no visible leaks at this time after our repairs were complete.
And is there heat in the building?
Yes,
So you,
Okay, so this guy is HVAC, so heating, cooling, but he's also a plumber. So his guy should have also worked on repairing the pipes that busted, but he is not testifying to that. I don't know if he does in the future. I actually haven't, I've not watched past a couple minutes ago, but anyways, you're the plumber, so you're going to, oh, the heating works, but what about the repairs to the lines that busted? He doesn't talk about that. Who did that? Because that's a big issue.
so you worked on the boiler system as well?
that was our main focus. Yes, was of course, getting the heating back up and going, so no further pipes would freeze.
Yeah, okay, but what about repairing
And
what was
with the
damaged?
repairs to the boiler, is it temporarily fixed or it's fixed for as long as the boiler can be fixed?
It's fixed as long as the boiler can be fixed and maintained.
Okay, you didn't do some temporary Band-Aid. You actually did the repairs and the boiler is back to fully functioning use.
Yes, we did repair the heating lines throughout the building in several areas, and got the system back up and going and heating as it should.
And what about the pipes that burst? Hello?
Did you
Can
do
I,
any?
can I stop you for a moment?
Sure.
This has never been completely clear to me. There are probably multiple water lines in the ceiling. One is the hot water that goes from the boiler to each individual apartment. Is that correct?
Yes,
And what are those lines made out of?
they are copper.
All right. Is there also a fire suppression line in the ceiling?
I could not verify that at this time.
So we don't know if there's a sprinkler system in this building?
We do not work on those systems, so I could not verify myself.
Then the third would
But he's
be
the plumber?
plumbing supply to each
Well,
apartment.
why wouldn't you also
Sinks,
check the
toilets,
sprinkler
showers.
system?
That didn't run through the ceiling, did it?
To my knowledge, it does, yes.
All right, so which pipes burst? And are those also copper?
Yes, they are the domestic. So there's two systems in there, what I consider the domestic water, which is your potable water that goes to all faucets and fixtures, toilets, for consumption or use. And then there is the copper heating system, which is a low pressure water system to convey the hot water through the heating lines.
And all of these are.
Yeah,
Correct?
To my knowledge,
this
yes.
case is
And were they replaced with copper?
weirder
or
and
replaced with
weirder
something
and
else?
No, the repairs were done with copper.
At this point, you don't know whether the leak was in the domestic water line or the boiler line or both.
They were in both. So the initial call was for several leaks in the ceiling, and we deemed that was part of the domestic water system. Several of those were repaired. And then the heating system became an issue later on, days after that.
okay. So you don't work on the sprinkler system, but you're a plumber. You didn't look at the actual water lines coming in, but you're a plumber. But you got the boiler working because you're a plumber. Unless this guy or his business literally only focuses on like the HVAC, and you just HVAC is under plumbing for, yeah. So this doesn't make sense. Like, make this make sense, because he's just like the electrician. It's like he's not doing his full job, or his crew. Like, in my opinion, this is shoddy work. I have a feeling, or in my opinion, it's based on the landlord, not necessarily these contractors. So, yeah, I'm gonna have like high blood pressure from this case.
We learned last week that there were two separate leaks. So the first leak was the domestic line, and then the second leak was the boiler line.
Understatement right there.
Yeah, that's lady.
Yes, the initial was the domestic. And then we found several going through and doing inspections. We found that there were heating lines leaking as well because of the freezing conditions.
So your first call was for the domestic lines. You have not testified about actually repairing those domestic lines. You're only talking about the boiler, so the heat. But the first call was for the burst pipes? Like, that would kind of be important. Like, just, oh my gosh, seriously. This is ridiculous.
So there is a timeline here of exactly the timeline of how everything happened. And again, to my knowledge, it was the domestic water that initiated it. And there were several leaks throughout the entire building. And then the heating system went down after that. I believe, again, the 26th was the domestic water going down. And then on the 27th, we came back out, and then we found the heating system down as well. So that's when those repairs started.
Sorry to interrupt, but I was trying to get a clear understanding. That was helpful, Mr. Cox. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Cox, are all repairs now?
Okay. So again, you were there on the 26th for the domestic lines. Then the 27th, the boiler wasn't working? Like, why did you not notice that the first day you were in there? Because those boiler lines wouldn't have just magically burst overnight. Seriously, it's boiling water. So your lines are not going to freeze like that. Oh my God.
Now completed on a plumbing system?
For the heating system, there was another contractor in there. Because of the scope of the job, we recommended to the customer that they get another contractor in there to do this in a timely manner. Because of the scope of it, we knew it was an urgent matter. So those repairs were completed and the domestic water was done by another contractor. We focused on the heating system after we found the entire heating system had several issues. So I can't speak as it is my knowledge that all the water
Okay,
is
that
back
actually
onto the
makes more
building,
sense.
but those repairs were done by another contractor.
Do you know which contractor?
But he should have
I
said
believe
something
it was
earlier
Pro
than now.
Services. And they were hired, I believe, directly by the owner, Park Place Management, or Place Property Management, my fault.
So outside of another catastrophe or casualty event, is the heating system good, functional, and heats the apartments?
Yes.
Is there anything about the heating system that would make the property not livable for a tenant, not habitable?
No, it is not to my knowledge. We have done a complete walkthrough at our completion and verified at the completion of the service on the 29th, all heating systems were working as they should at that time.
When you did your walkthrough, how many units were reviewed?
I believe it was all 24. We walked through every single unit. Initially on the 27th, we did a complete walkthrough that evening to get a list and a scope of what exactly repairs that need to be done. And these were my technicians that were on site that relayed this information to me. So we did a complete walkthrough to make sure to see if we could get some of those heating systems up and going. So once we determined which ones were needed repair, then we completed those repairs, and now that entire system, to our knowledge, is working. So the entire heating system is working as it should in all of the units themselves.
Okay, talking about the units that needed repair, were those in any certain location compared to other units that didn't need repairs?
They were scattered throughout. So there was no one certain area that was affected more than others. It was basically I think it was about 25%. I believe, I don't have an exact number, 5 or 6 of the 24 at that initial walkthrough were heating at that time. The remainder were either frozen or leaking.
And all of it has been repaired?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
I understand. Roxanne, you asked these questions, so I'll let you go first because I'm interested in, is a permit required and did they get any inspection? But I understand there's a urgency to this. So I'll allow Cross, and if you don't address something that I had, I'll ask them.
Mr. Cox, do you have any awareness as to whether the west side or the east side of the building had more problems?
I don't have an exact count of which units were affected more than the others.
And you indicated that the boiler was the main focus for your company once you determined the scope of the problem, correct?
The heating lines were the more urgent matter at that time.
Now, would you have been required to get a permit for that boiler repair if it was done?
I am in the process of looking into that because we have not altered the system. We are just making repairs. That's something I.
Dude, you are a fucking licensed plumber. You know that. You have to pull a permit. You can get an emergency permit. You can do emergency abatement so you stop the leak, right? And you can rush through a fucking permit because someone has to come back and inspect all of this. So therefore you have to have a permit pulled. You saying that you have to look into it. Are like all these people incompetent? I'm not a plumber. I am not an electrician. I was raised by an electrician, so I do know, but this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And how he's like, he didn't like make any changes, whatever. Yeah, you did. You had to replace pipe where it was leaking to the boiler system. So therefore, yes, repairs were made. So therefore, yes, you need a fucking permit. Oh, seriously.
We are looking into right now.
Okay. And did you notice that boiler inspection is not current with the state of Michigan?
Are you referring to the CSD1 testing?
It is a boiler inspection required by the state and it is expired.
Okay. I do not have the information on the CSD1 testing I believe you're referring to for the state license. So that is something that I don't have any knowledge on right now. That is something that typically is requested by the owner to perform those CSD1 testing. And that is
so yet again, someone's not doing their job. They're not doing things properly. This apparently is on the landlord now, the owner. Like for real. So 3 years without an occupancy certification. I think she just said the boiler, it's been a year since it was certified. Like, I really hope that Judge Middleton nails this landlord's ass to the ground and makes him pay for his incompetency of doing the bare minimum of what you need to do when you own properties and you lease them and own a house. It's like, this is so frustrating.
that is just for the boiler itself, not for the heating lines or the system.
And you basically replaced many of the heating lines is what you're indicating.
We did spot repairs in a few of them. Other repairs were just because they were frozen and did not need any type of alterations at that time.
Did you alter
Is
the
there
original
any way for
lines?
technicians to get up in the attic without, basically tearing out portions of ceiling?
I'm sorry, ask that again, please.
How do they get into the attic? Do they tear out portions of ceilings or is there some access?
I believe
Thank you, Epiphanies. I do. I don't like watching. I'm not going to mention names. Y'all know who I'm talking about. That literally pause it like every 2 seconds to insert some comment. I'm trying to not talk over them either, but I am seriously getting so frustrated with this case. Just the lack of sheer incompetency is astounding. Like, I literally can't. I don't know how they're getting away with this. This is a big problem. And I'm frustrated for these tenants because, they haven't been in their homes since December 26th. I thought it was before Christmas, the day after Christmas. So we're definitely like a week and a half out that they have not been able to be in their home because there's if I were to say what I really want to say, this video would be demonetized because it would be a lot of naughty words. Frustrated is an understatement, that is for sure.
a drywall, and then there's times to where you can reach the heating lines or the domestic lines in the attic space. So that's a case by case or each. There are times where it is necessary to the heating lines were the more urgent matter at that time.
Sorry, I forgot to
Would you have
unmute
been
the video. I
required to
keep
get a
doing that
permit
crap
for
by
that,
accident.
boiler
I'll get it down,
repair that
guys.
was done?
I am in the process of looking into that because we have not altered the system. We are just making repairs. That's something we are looking into right now.
Altering, you're making repairs, that is
Did you
altering.
notice that
That is fucking
that
altering.
boiler, inspection is not current with the state of Michigan.
Are you referring to the CSD1 testing?
It is a boiler inspection required by the state and it is expired.
Okay.
Dude, that's your job. You talk
I
about
do
the
not have the
boiler.
information on the CSD1 testing I believe you're referring to for the state license. So that is something that I don't have any knowledge on right now. That is something that typically is requested by the owner to perform those CSD1 testing.
Okay. As you guys can see, I am so frustrated. It's requested by the owner. Well, you should know that it needs to be inspected, just like elevators need to be inspected, just like fire extinguishers need to be inspected. Like, seriously, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's try this again. Let's see how far we get now.
And that is just for the boiler itself, not for the heating lines or the system.
And you basically replaced many of the heating lines is what you're indicating.
We did spot repairs in a few of them. Other repairs were just because they were frozen and did not need any type of alterations at that time.
Alterations
For your technicians
means
to get up in the attic.
repairs are alterations and you need a fucking
basically
permit.
Tearing out portions of ceiling.
I'm sorry, ask that again, please.
How do they get into the attic? Do they tear out portions of ceilings or is there some access?
I believe there is an access for each end, but it depends on the situation. Because of the limited access in the attic, there are times where it is necessary to cut the drywall, and then there's times to where you can reach the heating lines or the domestic lines in the attic space. So that's a case by case, or each situation is a little bit different.
And you haven't been there, so you don't know whether any of the ceilings were cut, right?
Not in this particular situation. I do know the building. I've been there and made repairs myself in the past.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, so you haven't actually been to the building for these repairs, yet you're testifying about the work that was done. Like, I get that you can, this is what your employees said, but that's hearsay. But how can you sit there and say, well, whatever, you've not been on site? How would you know? Unless they have like a GoPro camera going the whole time, and fucking you can sit there and watch, but you haven't even been there to inspect it yourself. I would think you would do that before you come get on the stand. Like, yet again, not even doing the basic shit. I'm disgusted at this point.
Does this work need to be inspected by the local inspector?
Yes.
That is something I'm looking into right now because it was an emergency situation. We are getting in contact with the municipality to confirm that because there's no alterations in the majority of it, but there were several cut and repairs. So it's something we're looking into a little further.
I'm not
So
being
an
critical. I
alteration.
think what was done had to be done as soon as possible, particularly over a holiday weekend. But I suspect at some point a lot of this electrical and plumbing work is going to have to be inspected. But all right, thank you. With any more questions for Mr. Cox? All right, Mr. Cox, you can go back about your business. You're welcome to stay on the feed if you wish to.
Thank you.
Does anybody need a break? We've been at it for a little more than an hour now. We're good to go for one more witness. All right, who's next? Mr. DeSaro?
I'm sorry. Yes, Your Honor. That is Crystal Carpet Care Restoration.
Mr. DeSaro, would you unmute your microphone?
Oh, there it goes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Would you state your name, please?
Tony DeSero?
DESERO.
Correct.
And what's your occupation, sir?
I am president of Crystal Carpet Care and Restoration, and that's quite a big list.
All right, thank you. Mr. Van Eck?
Thank you. Mr. DeSero, what is the full legal name of your company?
Kalamazoo Carpet Cleaning and Restoration.
Okay. Do you need a separate license for carpet cleaning and restoration work?
No,
Are you certified in either of those categories?
no.
What occurs in a restoration project, generally speaking?
Okay, so I am actually not sure if you would need some sort of a permit for that. A couple of years ago, we had our carpet replaced. Our dining room, kitchen, living room was like all one big space. So we had the carpet replaced in the living room, dining room, and then we had new flooring put in the kitchen. And I know for a fact that our installer, they didn't have to pull any permits, and I know no one had to come and inspect. So, I mean, there might be some sort of licensing or bonding for that, but I don't think you need a permit, and there's not really as far as I know, there's no inspection or permits needed for carpet cleaning, whatever, floor restorations.
I guess an easy way to put it is as kind of an order of events, if you will, is, I mean, obviously we have a leak. Step two, that's where we come in. We fix the water, but it's very important that the leak is stopped or we can't do our job. And then once we do our remediation portion, you have the guys that put everything back together, drywall, ceilings, carpet, what have you. And, of course, they're waiting on us to finish our job.
All right, do you do any of that? You don't do the drywall or the ceilings, you just do the flooring?
We do not do any repairs. We recommend other contractors for that work.
So you don't install new carpeting and padding and that sort of thing?
Correct.
Okay.
So what is your job when you show up on site?
Per a flood, our job is to remediate. We want to get moisture out of the structure and dry it as fast as possible to avoid first step mildew, and then later on in phases, if things stay wet, obviously mold.
Were you called the 681 East Main, known as Mill Race?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was?
Monday, I believe, just after 8 p.m.
And what were
AM.
you told?
I'm sorry.
8 a.m.?
Correct.
Okay. And why
All
were
right,
you?
so you're talking Monday, January 2nd or Monday, December 26th?
December 26th.
All right.
And what were you told was the reason that you were being called?
Pipes being frozen in the attic.
And did you respond to that location?
Okay, so they called in the remediation folks that get the water up. They get like the huge industrial heater dryer things going. You had contacted them, had them come in before you had plumbing come in? Like, talk about putting the cart before the horse. I'm going to keep saying this case is so frustrating. This is common sense, like basic common sense shit. What? That's all I gotta say. I'm getting angry.
Yes.
And when you arrived, what did you find? What did you see?
First entering in all the wet carpet and the common halls. And then I was pointed out by almost immediately by the plumber from Zimmerman's. He pointed out the leak he was working on in the attic. And then immediately I followed through a walk through the whole building to find any and all leaks, visible leaks that we can find to kind of get a scope of the project.
Okay, so the first plumber was there, but he still. Can someone please make this make sense? There's a contractor out here that watches my site. There's someone that like this is your job. Can you please explain how this is a clusterfuck? I don't know what else to call it. But you got the people to come dry out before you have the repairs even done. Like, I can understand having, kind of inspecting, seeing where you're going to, what you got to take care of. But, I mean, they didn't even do the repairs yet.
And did you complete that on the 26th?
Correct.
And what did you find?
Found several leaks. I want to say off the top of my head, visual that we found were 1, 2, 5, I believe, east and west wing.
Okay, so when you say 5 east and west, are there 5 in each, or in total there were 5?
In total.
Okay. When on the east wing, do you remember how many there were on the east wing?
At the time, it was hard to tell. Now that we're more into it, when these pipes tend to burst, in my experience, they don't just break in one spot on a line. They can break in several, an inch apart from each other, a foot, what have you. When those go, it kind of acts as one leak, one area, if you will. So the spot on the east wing were 2 smaller of those areas.
Okay, and then what about the west wing?
The west wing was the more wet areas of the building. That had, I want to say, three areas on that side.
When you did your review and you found these various spots, at any point did you do an additional review and find more water spots?
Towards the end of that day, we did end up finding one more, and that was one of the 2 leaks on the east wing.
And you indicated that they were in a certain area. Are you telling us that, like on the east wing, there's one area, but the pipe had 3 leaks in it? Or is it something where it's on the opposite ends of the building, you're seeing 2 different leaks?
Nope. So for the west wing, sorry, I'm not from the area, so I have to think about east and west. The west wing, the pipe that did burst, what I could visually see while in the attic were one pipe and several repairs done to it within a 2-3 foot section.
And that was done as part of the remediation or as part of the work because of this freezing, or was that done a long time before? From what you can tell?
Good question. It could have been from this one. It could have been previous repair or a combination. I don't know.
Did you notice wetness around those leaks?
Absolutely.
Okay. When you located the leaks, the question I asked you before was, it kind of contained in one area on each side with multiple leaks in the pipe?
Brett, stop! Ooh, sorry you guys heard that. My dog. So, okay. he doesn't know when the damage was done, if it was from before, but it was wet. So no, you can say when that is from. And I seriously apologize for yelling, you guys. I'm gonna get the shit down eventually. So sorry for yelling.
Or was it spread on opposite ends of the pipe?
The smaller ones, I would say contained. They more or less came straight down, got the floor a little bit of wet. Those were smaller ones we caught immediately. Zimmerman jumped on those, got those ones fixed kind of first, and those ones dried up real fast. The more larger one on the west wing, due to more breaks and leaked a lot more, when it came down, it flooded out and kind of expanded over out into the hallways and stuff. So not as much contained on the west wing.
So when you're looking at these pipes, are they located over the rental units? Or are they located over the common hallway? Where are they located in relation to units versus hallway versus common areas?
I would say just about everywhere.
Okay, so the leaking was located everywhere. The leaking was over common areas. Explain to us where the leaking occurred.
So just to review, the electrician said that the leaking was basically only in the common room or common area, and maybe, a little bit of damage in other apartments. But now this guy he's the one that went into these places, to kind of get everything cleaned up, dried out from the water. But you literally just contradicted what the electrician said earlier. Oh, okay. I'm gonna need to do some yoga or something after this.
Not on the east wing near the front entry door. And then about another 20 feet down the hallway, there was another leak right there, which is kind of in the common hallway and kind of in the laundry room or storage room. I apologize. And then on the west wing, it was right above apartment 11. No, above apartment 12. That was the larger of the two, or of all of them, sorry. And that was the one that flooded the most and sprayed the most in the attic and affected the apartment next door as well.
Okay. So how many apartments did you see had water in them from the leaks?
1, 2, 4, 5, 6 in total.
Okay, and where were those apartments located? Are they closer to the center area or are they on the ends of the wings? Where are those apartments located?
One of them towards the center, the rest of them on the wings.
Okay, are they, when you're looking at each of the wings, is west wing or east wing? Let's break it down. On the west wing, how many units were wet or were flooded?
West wing 3.
And then the east wing were the remainder?
No, the center had 1. And then the east wing would have had 2. Sorry.
Okay, so of the 24 units, the restoration or the flooding, not restoration, the flooding occurred to 6 units close to the center of the building in the common area.
Yes.
What about expanding beyond that? Did you inspect all units?
Only units that were wet and reported to me by either plumbers or management or residents themselves.
Okay, and how many units would that be then that you inspected?
Typically in something like this, it's the type of drywall in these situations. It's not so much of a visual from inside of an apartment. It's more of a visual from inside of the attic. So I can inspect much easier from the attic space and find where the moisture is.
Okay, did you go up in the attic?
Yes.
And when you're up in the attic, were you able to identify where the moisture was?
Oh my God. Holy hell, you guys, I am so sorry. Okay, so what I was saying is why Fritz stuck his nose in my mouth. He's my retired service dog, and he can tell when my blood sugar is too high or too low. When he's sort of kind of a little bit more concerned about where it's at, he will actually like stick his nose in my mouth, and I have to just do like a puff of breath at him, and he can smell it better. But obviously I'm fine because he didn't alert. He just laid right down, so I'm fine. But I did have a blood venti peppermint mocha, so I'm pretty sure that my blood sugar might be a little high. I don't know. It's been really crazy all over the place lately, but yes. And I swear to God, I will at some point get this shit figured out so I have better streams. Sorry, I just had to double check that the video was still playing and I didn't leave it paused. No, it's freaking muted. Oh my God. Seriously? I am sorry, guys. I really, really suck at this.
Apartment 12, that was the larger of the.
Okay, and then what about the west wing?
The west wing was
Sorry, I will.
the
I'll
more
get this down, guys. I
wet
promise.
areas of the building. That had, I want to say, three areas on that side.
When you did your review and you found these various spots, at any point did you do an additional review and find more water spots?
Towards the end of that day, we did end up finding one more, and that was one of the two leaks on the east wing.
And you indicated that they were in a certain area. Are you telling us that, like on the east wing, there's one area, but the pipe had 3 leaks in it? Or is it something where it's on the opposite ends of the building, you're seeing 2 different leaks?
Nope. So for the west wing, sorry, I'm not from the area, so I had to think about east and west. The west wing, the pipe that did burst, what I could visually see while in the attic were one pipe and several repairs done to it within a 2-3 foot section.
And that was done as part of the remediation or as part of the work because of this freezing, or was that done a long time before? From what you can tell?
Good question. It could have been from this one. It could have been previous repair or combination. I don't know.
Did you notice wetness around those leaks?
Absolutely.
Okay. When you located the leaks, the question I asked you before was, it kind of contained in one area on each side with multiple leaks in the pipe, or was it spread on opposite ends of the pipe?
The smaller ones, I would say contained. They more or less came straight down, got the floor a little bit of wet. Those were smaller ones we caught immediately. Zimmerman jumped on those, got those ones fixed kind of first, and those ones dried up real fast. The more larger one on the west wing, due to more breaks and leaked a lot more, when it came down, it flooded out and kind of expanded over out into the hallways and stuff. So not as much contained on the west wing.
So when you're looking at these pipes, are they located over the rental units? Or are they located over the common hallway? Where are they located in relation to units versus hallway versus common areas?
I would say just about everywhere.
Okay, so the leaking was located everywhere, or the leaking was over common areas? Explain to us where the leaking occurred.
Not on the east wing near the front entry door. And then about another 20 feet down the hallway, there was another leak right there, which is kind of in the common hallway and kind of in the laundry room or storage room. I apologize. And then on the west wing, it was right above apartment 11, no, above apartment 12. That was the larger of the two, or of all of them, sorry. And that was the one that flooded the most and sprayed the most in the attic and affected the apartment next door as well.
Okay.
We go to a sentencing in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I apologize, guys. I don't know what happened. I had a thingy do. Let's see if this does it. Oh, Jesus.
The question I asked you before was, it kind of contained in one area on each side with multiple
Let's see.
insulation that was wet?
Correct.
Did you see had water in them from the leaks?
1, 2.
Oh my gosh.
Not on the east wing near the front entry door.
All right, let me back it up. I apologize, folks.
Those leaks?
I'll get my shit together
Absolutely.
at some point.
Okay. When you located the leaks, the question I asked you before was, it kind of contained in one area on each side with multiple leaks in the pipe? Or was it spread on opposite ends of the pipe?
Ooh, I got that.
The smaller ones, I would say contained. They more or less came straight down, got the floor a little bit of wet. Those were smaller ones we caught immediately. Zimmerman jumped on those, got those ones fixed kind of first, and those ones dried up real fast. The more larger one on the west wing, due to more breaks and leaked a lot more, when it came down, it flooded out and kind of expanded over out into the hallways and stuff. So not as much contained on the west wing.
So when you're looking at these pipes, are they located over the rental units, or are they located over the common hallway? Where are they located in relation to units versus hallway versus common areas?
I would say just about everywhere.
Okay, so the leaking was located everywhere, or the leaking was over common areas? Explain to us where the leaking occurred.
Not on the east wing near the front entry door. And then about another 20 feet down the hallway, there was another leak right there, which is kind of in the common hallway and kind of in the
I
laundry room
apologize if this is not.
or storage room. I apologize.
Yeah, I went too
And
far
then on the
back.
west
I
wing,
apologize
it was
for
right
this,
above apartment 11. No, above apartment 12. That was the larger of the two, or of all of them, sorry. And that was the one that flooded the most and sprayed the most in the attic and affected the apartment next door as well.
Okay. So how many apartments did you see had water in them from the leaks?
1, 2, 4, 5, 6 in total.
Okay, and where were those apartments located? Are they closer to the center area, or are they on the ends of the wings? Where are those apartments located?
One of them towards the center, the rest of them on the wings.
Okay, are they, when you're looking at each of the wings, is west wing or east wing? Let's break it down. On the west wing, how many units were wet or were flooded?
West wing 3.
And then the east wing with the remainder?
No, the center had one. And then the east wing would have had two, sorry.
Okay, so of the 24 units, the restoration or the flooding, not restoration, the flooding occurred to 6 units close to the center of the building in the common area.
Yes.
What of
And Luna has joined in this one now.
For 24.
Up in the attic without, basically tearing out portions of ceiling?
I'm sorry, ask that again, please.
How do they get into the attic? Do they tear out?
Sorry about
portions of
that, guys.
ceilings,
I
or is there some
think you
access?
lost some of that.
I believe
I
there
didn't
is an
know the window
access
got closed for
in
sharing.
for each end. But it depends on the situation. Because of the limited access in the attic, there are times where it is necessary to cut the drywall.
that you inspected?
Point of relative humidity. Yes,
That's unit 11 with the dog.
correct.
Okay, but the
Okay, we're almost back to where we were.
restoration work,
No,
what do you have to do yet?
only total of 2.5, 3 feet of exterior wall got wet.
Back on
And that was
track.
near the entry as soon as
Sorry,
you walk in.
guys.
Was it in any of the living units?
No. Those ones where the areas of the walls that were wet was from the carpet that was flooding. So those walls got wet from the bottom and wicked up. When those wick up, in this specific situation, they only wicked up about 2 inches. At that point, we removed the baseboards, put fans and airflow on them, and that 2 inches dried out within little over 24 hours.
And then the carpet that you removed, what did you do with that carpet?
Also outside in the dumpster.
And was that just common areas or were there any carpet units that were removed?
Unit number 1 carpet was removed. That unit was vacant.
And were there any other living units, rented units that had wet carpet or flooring?
Yes, apartment 24 was wet carpet.
And did you remove the carpet in both of those living units?
Not in apartment 24. Apartment 24 has what's a glue down carpet with no padding underneath. Again,
Blue-down
that stuff,
carpet sucks.
once
That's
with
the
airflow
worst
on it and
one.
extracted, dries overnight.
Okay. Have you finished your restoration work?
No.
What do you have to do yet?
Apartment 11 next to 12, portion of the ceiling needs to be removed today,
Okay.
and then
why
we
was
will
there-
be done.
Why was there a delay in that part of it?
Residents aren't there. The resident in that unit has a dog in a cage, and he is removing that dog this morning so that we can get in there and get that taken care of.
Okay. Now, of the work that you've completed, have you had an opportunity to go back and re-inspect it?
Yeah,
Wait, what the fuck did he just say? Apartment 11? They haven't been in? Because there's a dog in a cage? I pray to goddess that this dog has not been in this cage since December 26th. That's disgusting. I seriously hope that they have been in there. First of all, the dog being in the cage is not okay. I know dogs can be created for so much a day, but every day for the last week and a half, like, as I'm speaking of dogs, Fritz is nudging me. What, buddy? I don't know. He's being picky. He wants up, I think. Anyways, like, I know one of the big concerns last week was what's happening with the pets. And if this is still an issue, that's a major problem. Out of all of this, that shit pisses me off even more. You don't do that to animals. It's not like that dog can get out on its own. It can't go get its own food. It can't let itself in and out to go pee. So, yeah.
yes, continually re-inspecting, especially with the nature of these types of leaks. Once they're fixed and repressurized, it's
Sorry about that.
not uncommon to find more leaks. So consistently, I go through the building with a fine-tooth comb looking for more leaks.
And did you do that to date with the initial leaks?
Yes, daily.
And have you found any more leaking areas since you've done your inspections?
I have not.
Not to brag,
And
but
when you
I have a
when was the
room full of
last time you went to the
wieners.
building?
Yesterday.
And was the building dry?
Can you say that again?
Was the building dried out? Was it dry?
Minus the one ceiling portion. Yes,
That's unit 11 with the dog.
correct.
Okay, but the rest of the building from everything you've been able to find, has been dried out and cured.
Correct.
Now, you don't do the drywall replacement.
Correct.
How many units had drywall removed in the ceiling?
He wouldn't do drywall replacement. He's not a fucking general contractor.
Just 2, 11 and 12.
Okay, so it sounds like 11 and 12 took most of the hit of the flooding or the leaking.
I would agree with that.
Okay. And the common area, the center area, the center of the building.
Yes.
11 and 12, sounds like 11 still has drywall that needs to be removed. What about 12?
12 is complete.
Is the drywall repaired from the last time you were there?
I have not seen any drywall repairs as of yesterday.
And did you sense outside of apartment 11 with the dog, did you sense any moisture in the building when you did any of your inspections after you were done?
Since it's more than that, our DHUs, moisture meters, all of our stuff do tell us relative humidity. We do monitor that on a constant basis. When we get to a certain point of relative humidity, we will pull our DHUs. When I pulled those DHUs, we were reading 31% humidity in the building.
What does that mean in English?
Anything below 45, I'm very happy.
Okay.
So 31 is extremely dry.
Is extremely dry.
Yes.
And how do you check? You put those in the different.
So for those of you that have never been to Michigan, we typically constantly year round have it like an internal humidity above 50%. Outside, it is very common to have 80-90% humidity like every day, just because we're surrounded by 3-4 of the freshwater inland oceans or seas, which they are. They're called lakes, but they're actually considered a sea. So that's why we do have a ton of humidity. It's all lake effect. So you might think, 35% humidity is a little high. Well, no, not for Michigan. That's pretty good.
Apartments, or is it just something you walk through and swing on a rope? What goes on? How does that work?
As far as relative humidities, the dehumidifiers do tell us that as they're sucking in the air, they will tell us that humidity level. Also, our handheld meters that we use for checking drywall, carpet, studs, you name it, also can tell us relative humidity and actual moisture content of materials.
Okay, and your findings of this building, except for unit 11, shows you said 31% relative humidity?
As of yesterday, yes.
Okay. How would we compare that to like a commercial building or a single family residential house? Is that in line, or is it more humid, less humid?
Less humid. Mostly we want to see around that 45% is kind of the comfortable for this time of year.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Ms. Seeger?
Thank you. Are you aware whether this is on a public water system or private?
I'm sorry, but I'm not a plumber. I do not know.
Okay, and you're indicating that you don't have, that you haven't observed any new leaks?
That is correct.
Okay, so if I have a statement indicating that there's 3,300 gallons of water going through for the last 3 or 4 days, you wouldn't be able to explain that?
Explain the water usage there?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't monitor the water meter, so I have no idea how much water is being used or not used.
So far as you know, on January 1st, 2nd, and December 31st, there was no new leaking occurring.
I'm unaware of which leaks, as in specifically any areas, because again, one area to me, let's just say apartment 12, that's one area of leak. If that pipe above apartment 12 and a 1 foot span leaked 3-4 places, that's still one leak to me.
When you went through and observed the apartments, did you notice whether any of the ceilings had actually fallen in due to the amount of water?
No, the ceilings don't even show evidence of water leaking.
Okay, so what about apartment 22?
Yes.
And what is going on with respect to that ceiling?
There were no leaks in that ceiling, so that ceiling should be fine.
Okay, so if we have photographs from a resident, that would be incorrect?
I do not know what those photographs are.
If they're trying to say the photographs are incorrect, they are then they are
So
saying
I'm
that
gonna let you see this.
a tenant is
Give it to
lying.
me. I'm not sure which, how many, well, we'll see if you can see this.
It's just one.
This reports to be apartment 22.
Okay, I have to pause right here, guys. I just got a phone call a little bit ago that I need to return. I need to call them back. So, depending on how long it takes, I'll come back. Hopefully this afternoon. If not, we can pick back up with it tomorrow. I suppose at 11 for lunch hour. We'll do a lunch hour. Finish this one up. I apologize again. I had someone call something came up. So thank you guys for joining me. Sorry, it was a bunch of shit show stuff. I definitely appreciate all of you. Obviously, all comments are my own. They're my opinion only. I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice, nor am I making any legal conclusion. Because I'm not an attorney. And I'm going to put in the description, because I don't remember if I did, the link for to join my membership, so you can officially be my friend. There is also the link to support Luna's box habit. I can't say it because I'll wake up. Anyways, I will be back shortly, you guys. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you all soon.